Welcome to Cincinnati, Ohio, the WFDF 2018 World Ultimate Club Championships, and we are in the action section of the tournament now. Fury against Mud in the last 16. Tom Stiles and Becky Thompson are with you for this one. The sun is shining. The heat is much more bearable than previously, Becky, and the number 4 shirt of Fury sitting right in the center of our screen, Alex Schneider, one of the big names on this San Francisco lineup.
Yeah, Alex Schneider, a veteran of this game here for Fury. She's played Ultimate for 18 years now, Tom, and she's been on this Fury roster for 13 years, helping them win their 9 national championships in the USA, gone to many world championships as well. She brings an expertise and a throwing game that you don't really see in the women's division right now.
Yeah, if you look at down the history of USA Ultimate in the women's division, Alex Schneider just keeps cropping up again and again. She played the final in Vancouver 2008 with a broken leg. She didn't know it was broken at the time. She knew it was hurt. She didn't know it was broken. I bumped into her again in Prague when she was part of this Fury team that won the World Club Championships in 2010, and numerous World Games appearances as well.
Yeah, and of course their only loss of this week coming yesterday to Riot in a 15-13 defeat. It was a scrappy game, some exciting plays in there, and that was of course a repeat matchup of the World Ultimate Championship final in 2014 in Lecco, where Riot also took that game. So Fury here looking now to go all the way to regain that status from 2010.
Yeah, the San Francisco Bay team been around since 1997. They've won 10 national championships in the USA and 3 runners-up spots. They've also had the right to represent the USA in 9 world championships, winning gold and silver twice each. And I know they were looking forward to competing pretty close to home here in Cincinnati. A lot of the USA sides with home turf advantage, able to bring the full squad, whereas the Japanese team, Mud from Tokyo, not quite so many players. I think there's 6 difference between the 2 squad sizes. The team in blue, you see them there. Lots of experience at World Games. 3 World Games players in this side. And watch out in particularly for Shimada Rishi, 77.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome once again.
You see Yamazaki in our shot there.
We're here for the 2018 World Ultimate Club Championship, and we're in the quarterfinal round. Our next game here on field 22.
Yamazaki Mari,
and we'll feature from Tokyo,
a 29-year-old.
And from San Francisco, California,
the Mud team without a coach here at the World Ultimate Club Championships. They made an effigy of their coach because their coach is back home in Tokyo expecting a child. Didn't want to make the journey over, understandable. But the team arrived for their opening games, made an effigy out of their ultimate gear and put her in a chair. And we had a photograph of her. There she is. The coach is here, providing excellent coaching advice from the side of the field. Well, the sun is shining. There's a light breeze blowing across the fields here at the Lebanon Sports Complex. And we await the first disc of the game. Fury and Mud, USA and Japan. Players just waiting for the signal from the game advisors to start. A party atmosphere down here on the field, giving the disc. And Takahashi with the opening pull of the game. Straight downfield to Nazarov, centers to Schneider. Schneider through the middle to Rudin. Rudin out to the wing, Clancy. Back to Johnson. Johnson finds a gap through to Rudin. Out to the wing, it's Howard. Down the line, pressure, but just inside the edge of the field. Katie Ryan collects. And the first point for Fury looks smooth and seamless.
Yeah, we saw Katie Ryan yesterday have a pretty standout game against Riot as well. She loves to make those striking cuts to the break side of the field. And I love the way Fury swings that disc to the break side, opening up that space, and they're not afraid to throw into the narrow gaps, which could be a benefit for them against the Japanese side as well.
And the voice of Becky Thompson beside me, the communications director for Ultimate Canada. One of the exciting new voices in the world of Ultimate commentary. I'm very happy to have her as part of our WFDF commentary lineup.
Just embarrassing me now, Tom. Making me blush.
Clean hold for Fury to start this game. And almost every player on the line involved. You see Carolyn Finney, it won't be the last time we see or hear of her during this game as well. One of the standout handlers, member of the World Games team from Wrocław last year.
Octavia Payne on the pull for Fury.
Opie Payne with the big disc downfield. And that disc from Payne is going to drift in the wind and lands out of bounds. Mudd with an opportunity to start at the brick mark. Furukawa for Mudd. Down the sideline to Shimada. Shimada looking for any options, but the defense from Fury is hard. One-on-one, chasing and running. Furukawa again. Looks for any available options at the sideline, but they're not there. And look how quickly the Fury players running across to take away any sort of flow down the break side. They know that's the threat. Japanese players like to play the short disc, but now they're making some progress on the open side through Yamazaki. Swinging it back across to Takura. Continuing the cut, flowing to this break side, having some success in doing so as well. Suzuki. Suzuki looking at no real cuts at all. Dabble off the top of the hands, and Austin clears up the mess. Fury have it. And that is going to be the thing that they cannot afford to do. They will not be able to give the disc to the team in white. Oh, they will not get it back. Awadel Karim. Solid disc across to Nazarov on the far side. Nazarov's pass a little bit too hot. Not able to collect. Claire McKeever gets a hand to it, but nothing more. And it's a turnover. A few nerves showing from Mudd. There's pressure at the Fury defense. They're going to put them under every single point, every single cut. That's the sort of throw they're going to need to do. That little inside break that opens up the field. But Payne, apologetic after the collision, uncontested, very quick to do so. It was a nice box out from Shiba, who was the target.
Yeah, Shiba did very well to get on the inside track of Payne there. Lots of contact through the back. I think that's the right decision on the call.
Shiba for Mudd. Looking downfield. Awadel Karim covering so well on the defense. And a high stall out. Stall out called by Payne. And Nazarov comes to collect. Tamura on the mark. Over the top to Liu. Center of the field. Austin to Nazarov. Fury stretching the play. The zone has gaps in it, and that disc blasted through to Makiva. Second time we've seen that connection, Nazarov to Makiva, result in a dropped disc or an incomplete connection. Ogawa back to Furukawa. First offensive point from Mud is turning into a battle. The Fury defense creating problems with every cut. Change of pace, manages to get themselves free. Takura to Tamura. This short pass offense from Mud, and a timeout called. Tired legs from the Japanese team. They ran and ran, but the Fury defense closing down every option, and so aware, Becky, when they do get that break pass through the center of the line, which they do love to throw, the Japanese teams, and particularly I was chatting to the coach beforehand. I said, how are you going to beat this Fury team? I said, we're going to play Japanese Ultimate. We're going to throw the short discs, get those little inside breaks. This is not a new tactic as the two teams set up next to each other right in the middle of this field.
Yeah, definitely an interesting tactic there as well. We've seen it from a lot of Japanese teams, Tom. We love to see the little inside throws, and they're always cutting to the break side, which means a lot of players are going to have to adjust to take away more of that break side. However, that being said, if they do, they're more than happy to exploit the open side as well. Right now, the Fury defenders are doing a very good job of taking away the under and being positioned a little bit so that they can bite on either side, the open or the break. That's causing it to be very difficult for Mud to get open from their stack, and they're a little bit static in their stack right now as well.
I think when your first cut is covered and you don't get the disc, and then your second cut is covered and you don't get the disc, kind of thinking, shall I make a third cut or shall I leave it to one of my teammates? Don't think there's an option to give up against this Fury team. They're going to contain you. That's that disc that we're seeing. The cut to the outside, the button cut back around, the deep shot goes up just on the edge of the end zone. Tamura with it. Mud looking to score their first offensive possession. First offensive point. They've had numerous possessions already. And a pick called coming out of the stack. Coming in on 3. Reed on the mark. Hands high, trying to stop the overhead. Great work from Shimada. Cut to the wing, stopped the Fury player on the mark, stopped with her, and she continued her cut to that front cone.
Yeah, a great cut there by the Japanese player. Something I really like about the style that Mud plays is they're not afraid to cut in very small, close areas to each other. You often see players encourage giving each other a little bit more space, but they cut in those reset areas. They stayed within that third of the field, the entire end zone set, and it's paying off very well so far. 1-1 already.
Considering how big the field is, and you see from our Skycam footage, when the camera comes on from above, you can see how big the field is, but if the whole Mud offense took place in 1/4, only 1/6 of the field in that top left corner of the grass.
Yeah, and the one thing that can be a bit of a detriment when you play in that small areas is we do see picks called quite a bit, and that is one thing about their stack is so tight-knit, and it is going to cause some of those calls to happen. We did just see it on that end zone as well.
On the pull for Mud.
2 holds so far, but no question at all about which was the cleaner. Fury scoring in 7 passes. Mud taking 3 possessions to do it. The disc was low, but it stayed up. Rudin. Sideline is Kayla. Rudin again swings across to Snyder. Center of the field, the cut from Chang. High grab, one-handed from Clancy. Steady play from Fury, just running their set. A throwaway. It was too far in lead. Disc from Chang on the grass. An opportunity to break for Mudd. Hard pressure. Fury wanting to get the disc back. High grab. Looked to get the second time around. Conversation between Kirsten Johnson. No foul call. Takahashi not able to collect the disc. Fury have it again. Swinging the full width. There's a continuation cut available. Great defense to get across and cover that option. Passing off the Fury players between them. Pointing, directing traffic. Every player responsible to make sure they can cover the shirts in white. Low disc down to the front corner. Hard running from Clancy, gets herself free. And clean point.
Another clean offensive point there from Fury. Fury, when they set up their stack, it's very interesting to see as well that Alex Snyder, she ended up at the front of the stack, but has the heads-up awareness to not make that first cut and clog the space. She just did a quick little shoulder check to see her teammate streaking to the break side as well and decided not to make that cut. You see her teammate there on that little check, allowing them not to clog that space, and that's not something you see in inexperienced players.
And we called that as a clean point. It wasn't a clean point, was it? It was one turnover each. But when that last 15 pass, you know, within 10 meters of the end zone, and Fury looking so calm and composed on the disc.
Yeah, and I think that does help to have veteran players like Snyder, like Carolyn Finney, like Anna Nazarov. Calms your team down, and they bring that experience to always know to stay focused and focus in on their game.
Clancy was the eventual scorer of that point, represented USA at WUCC in 2012 and in 2016 the women's masters side. Mudd with the disc now. Had to be a big bid, and it was a big bid. Takura goes to ground. One cut at a time. Much more stretched offense this time from Mudd. Moving the disc from side to side. The stack reforms. They go again. Ogawa. A snag out of the sky. Hard pressure from Fury coming. Managing to sneak it up that near side again. Almost exactly the same type of scores we saw from the first Japanese point. Doesn't feel like a balanced game, but the scoreboard tells a different story. It's 2 apiece at the opening of this one.
Yeah, and we did get a clean point there from Mudd, working it up that far sideline. A few save catches, though. Had to make that big layout on the far side, and then Suzuki coming down with a catch under pressure as well before throwing it into the end zone. But really well done by Mudd. They really do like that far side of the field, don't they, Tom?
It's the upwind side. The wind is coming from our right to our left and slightly towards the camera as well. So there's lots of breeze to play with if you're a thrower who likes to use the wind. I think maybe the Japanese team not wanting to get themselves stuck on the downwind side of the field, staying on that high side and just happy to jam it into those small gaps. They play a very compact game. The stack very short, never that far away from the disc, just using the fast acceleration, quick changes of direction to get free. So Fury with another offense. Snyder in the center of the field. Quick movement. Making fast progress downfield. LaRoche. Mudd team using a zone. Nazarov to Snyder, back to Nazarov, back to Snyder. The 4 and 33 shirt exchanging discs quickly. That time a much more rapid disc across to Nazarov into the front of the end zone. Katie Ryan with a second point of the game. The disc speed from Schneider and Nazaroff exposing the space on the far side of the field. Mudd not able to keep up. Fury looking sweet and smooth on offense so far in this game.
Catch it early. Help us teach kids about cancer symptoms through Ultimate Frisbee clinics. Join us and speak up.
Ohio skies with little fluffy clouds in the blue are the scene here, flags waving. Players from 36 countries are scattered around the Lebanon Sports Center. Myself, Tom Stiles, with Becky Thompson beside me, watching this Fury versus Mudd round of 16 game for a place in the quarterfinals. Opie Payne sends the disc down. Fury with a 3-2 lead here at the World Ultimate Club Championships. Fakara with quick disc to Takura. She has it now. And across to Tamura. Tamura to Shimada. One of the stat leaders for this Mudd team, but Fury forcing them back. Furukawa again. Ogawa. Every time a Mudd player cuts, there's a white shirt right next to them. They're working in the smallest of margins, but they're still working. This is the really impressive thing. A touch, a fingertip got to it. Claire McKeever, the difference between a completed pass. That high disc has gone up. Carolyn Finney, no hesitation. Turns, reacts, responds, reaches up, takes the disc out of the sky. Sun. Finney to Payne. Payne returns the disc to Finney. Mudd defense trying to stop that pass, but nothing they could do. Oh, that is graceful. Finney's disc to Payne, opening up the whole field for an easy goal for Fury. And when you see them play so smooth, breaking the force, the whole pitch is like the gift of a goal.
Oh, it's a beautiful thing to watch, making it look absolutely easy. And we all know from playing, it's not always an easy thing to make some of those throws. You see the way Carolyn Finney goes for that inside flick more than once on this point and allowing that to open up the space for Opie Payne to shoot that into the end zone, wide open to the break side. We're seeing both these teams favor scoring on the break side of the end zone as well.
Experienced player, the 30-year-old hardware engineer from San Jose. Represented a few different clubs, Condors, knockout San Diego before she finally found her home here at Fury. She's represented as the USA in the World Games side last year in Poland. A very exclusive list of players. Only 14 selected, 4 men, 4 women for that USA side, and Finney and Nazaroff, 2 of those players. She says a highlight is caught between winning college championships with Buring Skirts in 2011 and the club championships in 2017 with Fury. Mudd have the disc now. Furukawa, and a trip and a foul, uncontested. Amel Awadel Karim.
No contest, it appears.
Tamura picks herself up. she calling an injury? No, she's okay. Tamura has it.
Come away Tamura with the disc for Mudd out of that foul.
Just working out her equipment after the fall, dislodged her knee pad. Downfield, options being closed down quickly by Fury. A fake is all it is. Tamura with it. Centers to Kahura. It's going to come back. A pit called in the centre of this field. Every time they look to send that deep disc, the force just steps across. Shimada opening up the field, down the line. Awareness wasn't quite there from Ogawa. Didn't see the disc till late, had a body switched the wrong way. Turnover, Nazarov with disc in hand for Fury. Straight away looking for the deep shot. Shimada and a turnover, a block.
Yeah, a big layout D there from Suzuki. She just got her fingertips to it there, but just enough to push that out of the way of the receiver, and an end zone turnover for Fury.
Mudd with a chance for the completion and takes it high. No question, above Sharon Lynn. Mudd completing that point.
Yeah, very good point there from Mudd. Suzuki with the huge layout D, and you can see the team celebrating and giving her high fives right now. That is the kind of defense, Tom, that can generate momentum for a team as well. It can pump you up, and we know that Ultimate is a game of runs and swings as well. Full credit, we're gonna get a look at it again here.
Nazarov with the disc, the swing pass. If she'd held on to this, it was just enough of a touch, wasn't it? Laying out. And that high disc caught, pressure from Lynn.
That's one thing that the Japanese team are not afraid of. They are not afraid of the pressure on their backs at all. They love to cut in those small spaces, and they know and are confident in their ability to stay open even with a defender right on their backs.
It's a pretty close game, Becky. I know the first few points, it felt like Fury had the advantage, but the score got to 2-2. There's been one break so far in the favor of Fury. The team from San Francisco in the white. Johnson, center of the field. Rudin swings to Snyder. Snyder finds Howard. Howard back to Snyder, anchoring this handling line. Fast, low disc to Johnson, back to Snyder again. The preferred option. Snyder's disc was rapid and beat Cooper, could not connect with that. Mudd have it, an opportunity to go the full length of the field and score in the other end zone. There's going to be some defensive pressure on that. A bump, but both players had misread it. Schneider again to Howard. Back to Schneider. Johnson. Snyder again. Very active sideline from the Mudd team. Swings across the full width of the field to Howard. Making the defense run. Snyder. Shows where she wants the disc to go. Howard. Snyder again. Patience from Fury. And moving the disc. Stretching the defense. Runs keep coming from the team in white. Eventually she finds a gap through, and Howard is waiting at the back of the end zone, completely static, didn't matter at all. Two-handed catch and a 5-3 lead for them.
Yeah, Fury making good work of that. Once they recovered the disc after the turnover, they took care of it, they valued it, worked it all the way around, and you see Snyder cutting up line after going 1 and 2 and an easy little high release shot into the end zone to a static Howard. And I think Mudd there, maybe just a little bit of miscommunication on who was picking her up. She was wide open.
Says her mum and dad will be watching back at home. Started playing Ultimate because she wanted to find an alternative to playing basketball in high school, and a bunch of friends were playing, and immediately fell in love with the sport. And the offensive handling of that quality, just moving the field around, not really having to do a lot of running, knew her space in the center of that field, distributing the disc, making the play happen, and eventually finding that gap through to Howard.
Yeah, and I think the Mudd defense as well right now, really happy to allow Fury to swing the disc back and forth. They're taking a small step off of the handlers, letting them swing it around, and they're also forcing the Fury players under upfield until they get close to the end zone when they are switching it up slightly. But I think they are afraid of that deep game, and so far we haven't seen Fury able to go up with any hucks yet.
Fury have taken their first time out of the
We haven't seen the Japanese tactic of letting the Fury team play to half without any defense at all yet. That's something that we will look out for. It's a defensive strategy that's occasionally employed.
That is something we did see them employ against Revolution on Monday, but they didn't start doing it until late in the game. The interesting thing is once they did, it was extremely effective, so I would like to see them try it out at some point here today as well.
You'll know when you see it. The defense throw the disc downfield and then pretty much stay where they are. Wait until the opposition have played the disc, sometimes with question marks on their furrowed brows, up until halfway, and then they clamp on the defensive hard. It just takes away the long throws completely. Shimada with the disc for Mudd now. Swing across. Fury, again, this hard one-on-one marking. He's doing it with athleticism and a big, low, hard force. The size difference was something that the Mudd team pointed out. They were aware of. Not much they can do about it apart from use their foot speed over the first 10 yards. Use their small Japanese style of play. Shimada's going to have to read this one and dive, and she does, but it cannot stay alive. Finney for Fury. Opportunity for a three-point lead. Blast that one down the line. Golin flicks back to Kayla. Finney still available, swings across. Payne bids, and two Fury players laying themselves out on the line, but the disc from Finney a little wide, a little too far away. Would love to see a replay of Opie Payne's bid. She absolutely flew at that disc, showing real commitment, not able to connect on this occasion. Tamura. Fury sniffing out that Callahan deep in the Mudd end zone. Can they relieve the pressure? Really impressive to see how the Fury defenders they know about this button cut that the Japanese players are looking for. So they'll cut to the open side and immediately turn around and then cut back across. I'll see if we can spot one here. Cuts to the open side, and she's not doing it there. Shimada, the disc had to be to that side to stop Finney's advance getting the block, but it was too far out to the wing.
Yeah, and a good effort there from Shimada as well, but not much you can do about it with Finney breathing down your back.
Nancy Sun is this time the supplier of another turnover from Fury. Careless with the disc on occasions in this first half. Seen throwaways on more than one occasion. Again, look at the structure of this stack. Suzuki. Takura. That's the cut that they looked for. Downfield now. Fast sprinting from Ogawa. Can she get there? No, she can't. That's the target downfield. Finney now with the disc. And watch the defense clamp down and see if they can prevent fast movement upfield. Payne exchange discs with Kayla. Kayla's disc is high. Pressure underneath it. Takura took a couple of attempts to get it back. Quick 1-2 discs and a timeout called. Very wisely, just take a bit of the pressure away. Kayla Hilton, as grateful as anyone for the break. Now, but halfway through that point, we did see throwaway from Fury, despite the valiant efforts of OP Payne. See if we can grab some of the action from that previous point. Here it is. Wow, horizontal in full flight, but it was just too far away.
That's just out of the outstretched fingertips of Payne there, really putting every piece of effort into that bid. Unfortunate not to come down with it, but a matter of centimeters. I mean, that's the only difference from that bid there.
We have seen on more than one occasion now, Fury a little careless with the disc. Mudd not able to take advantage. The Fury defense has been really strong. The Japanese always looking for that little inside cut, but not able to find it very often.
I think one thing Mudd is doing very well right now as well is they're clearing and they're faking very well. So they're very consistent and quick. When they get faked off, they change the direction of their cut right away, and that's something that a lot of teams don't do as smoothly as the Japanese.
Tamura. Furukawa. Shimada. We've seen her spread the play so effectively, and she does it again here. Shiba to Takura into the end zone, and Shimada's cross-field disc opens up the play, spreads the Fury defenders out. There's no way they could prevent that continuation of Japanese flow into the end zone. The 77 shirt, I'm calling that one as the playmaker across field. Really impressive stuff from the Japanese.
That was absolutely visionary to watch, Tom, to be able to see that player all the way on the far side of the field and make a perfect throw into the outstretched hands of her teammate there as well. I don't have much more to add to that. That was a special throw to watch.
And she scored 2 points in this game as well, but representing under 19s in 2012 and under 23s in London in 2015, and in the women's division in 2016. And she was also part of the Japanese World Games squad. Shimada Rishi, a 77 shirt, 24 years old. A force to be reckoned with in Japanese Ultimate, creating space for the entirety of her team. Nazarov. That inside shot needed the layout to keep it alive. No problem from Katie Ryan. Snyder to Rudin. Rudin looking downfield and finds LaRoche. LaRoche spins the disc back around to Howard. Snyder cutting out. Pressure from the Japanese team, and front of the stack has been well marked. Requires a disc from Howard to go over the top. The defense unusual, but Fury dealing with it well, and eventually that handler set clashing and finding a way through to the front of corner of the end zone. And we'll be back with more from Cincinnati in just a moment after this short break.
If you want to be a high performer, eat like one. Start with a balanced diet and drink plenty of water. Good nutrition is one of the best ways to boost your mental and your physical health.
You see Opie Payne, Fury number 7, raises the disc above her head. Wasn't part of the World Games squad. She was part of the training squad before they went out there. Must have been one of the most difficult decisions the coaches had to make to leave her behind in the USA before traveling out to Poland. Furukawa. She has it back now, down the line. It's a great cut from Takura. And another great cut from Shiba into the end zone. That is how Japanese Ultimate looks when it's played at the very highest quality. Fury, no answer to the flow and movement from the team in blue. Excellent play.
Yeah, really impressive to see how they really cut one at a time as well, never clogging the space, never trying to go to the same space as their teammates, and happy to just tic-tac-toe all the way up the line into the end zone as well. You know, we talked about Fury looking in control at the start of this game, but Mud is not going away quietly.
I know, a thing that sometimes we miss from the camera angle, because we're focused on the disc, is the fakes that these players are putting in to get themselves free. And the timing of all of that, as the whole team needs to make their fake and their cut, always to the same space, and always just one player at a time. The system is so organized. We're chatting to Maurizio Moore, the coach of Revolution. They played this team earlier in the tournament, about what it's like playing against the Japanese side. And he said it's all about the system. If you can break the system, you can beat the team. And so far, Fury with no answer to the system. It's not about individual players, it's about the system. And we'll be looking to see if Fury can have an answer to that now.
Yeah, I think Fury on defense, historically and against other teams, they're used to being able to rely on those individual matchups, those one-on-one battles that they know they can win. You can't do that so much with a team like Mud when their system is so disciplined.
Nazarov, center field, facing up against a 3-player cup. And they're quickly switching to, it's a 2-player cup, 3 players around the outside, deep disc, straight away, cut out. Celebrations on the sideline as though they've scored a point. They've just got a turnover, but they'll now need to work the full length of the field to get anything out of it. Half the job is done for Furukawa. Has it. Shimada with the disc again, almost on every point at the moment, the 77 shirt. Furukawa again. Floats down to Yamaguchi. One active cut at a time from Mud. This time it's Suzuki. Some excellent stats from Suzuki this week. Float into space. Read well, grabbed high from Ichimasa. Furukawa, Ichimasa has it back again. Floats into space, the disc from Ichimasa is perfection into Suzuki's path. Nothing Fury can do a second time around. They have no answer for the movement, and this time it's not just a score, it's a break of score. 6 each. Mud back in with back on par with the team from San Francisco. That's a huge point from the Japanese.
Yeah, we're back on serve here. What an incredible point. Their flow and the speed in which they move the disc all the way across the field, it really is impressive. They don't hold on to the disc for more than 2 or 3 stalls. Each player constantly rotating through their system as well. You see the way they're in their stack, and they always have 2 handlers back, but those players are constantly changing throughout the course of the point as well, never staying in the same position for very long.
It's like a work of art when it's done well. We've seen Japanese teams, when they're playing at the best, so difficult for players with a more sort of North American or European style of ultimate to cope with this movement and the interchangeability of these players. You know, it's not just the same. You're marking a player and you know that player's a handler. You're going to mark them like you're marking a handler. But all of a sudden your player's running deep and you've got to mark them like a deep.
Yeah, it causes the adjustments on defense to happen very quickly, and that's where you're going to require a lot of sideline help. And right now, Tom, I got to say, we are hearing the voice of the Japanese on this sideline loud and clear over top of Fury right now.
Zone defense again. Managed to get a turnover, and they're reaching hard out to the sideline. Maggie Rudin keeping that disc alive, but only just. Is the pressure starting to play on this team from San Francisco? There's no way back if they lose this game. This is for a place in the quarterfinal. And it's 6 apiece. Fury, maybe a few questions creeping into their minds as the Japanese defense clamps on once more. Hesitations as the disc swings around. Rudin back to Romano, and a timeout called. Romano slaps hands with coach Maddie Tsang, and maybe, just maybe, some work cut out for the coach here. Can the team from San Francisco, one of the favorites, the favorite coming into this from the women's division, can they sort this out? They're tied up, and they look like they've lost a little bit of the momentum that they had at the start of the game, Becky.
Completely agree with you there, Tom. They're going to have to find a way to move the disc a little bit faster, because currently the Japanese cup of mud, they're setting their zone very quickly, and they're getting in front of that disc, stopping any flow from Fury. Fury hesitating a little bit with those passes, which is allowing mud to catch up to each of those throws. If they can't move it a little bit faster and a little bit smoother, they're going to have troubles gaining yards right now.
Again, you see the timeout setting themselves up right next to each other, despite all the space there is on this Lebanon Sports Complex show field. Psyching each other out. The smiles from the Japanese team. Well, they're always smiling. They never stop smiling. Even when they're down 15-3, they're still smiling. But in this game, they've got every reason to smile, because they are putting Fury under a little bit of pressure. They're playing in a way that Fury are not used to tackling. And their defense sets once more. Movement through the cup. A poor disc, just caught, just staying alive. Shot across to the other side of the end zone. Rudin underneath it. Throws the disc in the air. The timeout did everything it was meant to do. A change of strategy. Put your work into place. Make the plan happen. And Fury, relief as they slap hands and celebrate. They've scored and they've relieved the pressure, 7-6.
Yeah, and you mentioned as well, if there's a coach who could probably do it out of that timeout, Maddie Tsang is the coach to do it, to get them pulled together, to execute a play. Tremendous experience with Fury, coach of the World Games team as well this year. And Fury, they're executing perfectly. Mud also a little bit of an adjustment on their defense when they came out of that timeout. They transitioned to person fairly quickly, and Fury took advantage of it.
It's going to be, we almost saw another throwaway there. Katie Ryan's disc was a little bit close to the ground. But determination from the teammate kept it up. That quick throw to Rudin on the far side of the field. Exactly what was required. Well, nearly coming to the halfway point time-wise of this game. We play to 15 points. And half at 8. Mead with the pull downfield, floating through the Ohio skies. And Suzuki. Again, hard running one-on-one defense from Fury. They know they have the athleticism and speed, but poaching off on the front three. No, it's not a one-on-one defense. It's a one-on-one. No, it is a one-on-one defense. It's just with some big poaches on the handlers. Now they've got closer. Furukawa. Again, the big poach off on the handler. Mudd happy to use that space that they've been given. Very close from Reed, almost got the block. Mudd still with it. Furukawa again, swinging out to Takura. And sends the deep shot. Pressure underneath this, can it be read? It just is beyond everybody. The target was Tamura. He's made a strong claim in that deep cut. Down the wind, blew it.
Yeah, just an interesting decision there as well from the Mudd player. There was double coverage on that huck. Not quite enough love on that disc, but either way, hard to run it down between two Fury players.
Sharon Lynn sends the disc downfield. Pressure from Mudd. Not enough, though. It's going back across the field. That's going to stay in the air too long. Just picked out of the sky by Liu into the end zone. Riding the luck a little, maybe. But Fury have taken a half. And where we thought a minute ago at 6 each that they looked under pressure, that moment has passed. And they take the half and looking dominant once more.
Fury definitely a little bit lucky to come down with that, using a bit of their size advantage in that situation to come down with both of those discs on this play. But credit to the Japanese, really putting pressure on these discs, and I don't think that this is going away. This is going to be a tight game all the way through the second half, Tom.
Don't go away, don't go anywhere. We'll be back in Cincinnati from the World Ultimate Club Championships in just a moment.
There is a place where we are us at our best.
A place where everyone is welcome.
Regardless of age, shape, skin color, or anything else that tries to box people in.
A place where we defy the odds.
And even defy gravity.
A place that knows grit, knows grace, knows bright lights, and knows empty bleachers.
A place where we remember to laugh.
Where we learn to trust.
And eventually, even learn to fly.
A place where character, community, and competition
are all as balanced as a disc in flight.
That place isn't in a stadium or on a field.
That place is in the spirit of our players.
Because we don't just play Ultimate, we live Ultimate.
Welcome back to Cincinnati, the WFDF World Ultimate Club Championships. And we see the two teams here in this round of 16 game. Mudd from Japan in the blue, Fury in the white. And the pressure that Mudd have managed to impart onto the team from San Francisco was they were really struggling at one point there, and then all of a sudden, relief. They managed to score their own offensive point and a break to finish the half, and Fury looked back in control.
Yeah, absolutely. They've taken a little bit of control, still a little bit of luck on that last point in order to score that goal. Mudd put in enough pressure to cause some of these throws and decisions made by Fury to look very uncharacteristic for such a veteran and seasoned team. I gotta say though, Fury taking half, that is a confidence booster for them as well. They get to start the second half on offense. Hard to see how they won't come out and score that point. Mudd, on the other hand, the defensive pressure, I mean, it's been really special to watch here, Tom.
It really has. We need to pick out Shimada Risa from Mudd for some of her visionary play. She's managed to score 2 points herself, but when she has the disc in hand, Mudd seem to have an extra element of space on the field, able to find players on the far reaches. See the movement from Fury. Both teams going to ground at every necessary occasion. That fingertip defense in the end zone that set up the score. Opie Payne's flying bid. And we got a short feature to show you about the Mexican women's team, Malafama.
Mala fama.
It means infamous, bad fame.
Bad fame.
Mala, bad, fama, fame.
Yeah.
Bad fame.
Well, my name is Daniela, and I'm from Malafama of Mexico City.
My name is Dre, and I live in Texas, but I'm playing with Malafama.
We're giving handcrafts from Mexico. We're giving a skull, a handmade skull, and little animals that are alebrijes. There are little things that help you
cross over to death.
Yeah.
Right, so that they don't linger in limbo.
Exactly.
Like the movie Coco?
Yeah, exactly that. It's a Mexican thing. And
Candy,
yeah.
Spicy candy and sweet candy.
The career of many Ultimate players is punctuated by their experience of a WFDF Worlds event, and we're going to use our amazing Sky camera now just to try and show you the scale of this tournament and show you why it's such an incredible experience for so many players. You see the Fury team going to their places. There is 29 fields all around here at the Lebanon Sports Center, and in every one of those fields a different game. Over 1,000 games being played this week, and every game includes a story of passion, heartache, and all of the nearly 3,000 players that have been here this week in Cincinnati will take home stories and memories and new friendships that will last them a lifetime. You see the massives of grassland, and that was just half the field. Amazing footage we're getting from our Fulcrum Media Sky Cam. We're right back here in the second half. Last 16 action between Fury from San Francisco and Mud from Tokyo. Japan versus the USA. Fury with 2 points to the good and came out of that first half with a break just to steady themselves. Had looked a little under pressure at 6 each. As Payne opens the shoulders and spins the disc down, caught in the wind, lands near the brick mark to get this second half underway here at the 2018 World Ultimate Club Championships. That little button cut from Tamura, having to point where they need the cut to go. Float into space is absolutely perfect. Working with the finest of margins here, Mud. Shimada, the playmaker for Japan. This time contained. Has to go back. You see the big wingspan of Ness Fajardo. Trying to prevent Shimada from making those far-reaching discs count. A bid. Now there's space for Mud. Helton went to ground. Now she jumps back up and gets back on the chase. The disc is going to go into the end zone. Can they get there? Bids, but couldn't quite. And run away from Helton. Got separation. The disc dying in the wind.
I really like that look from Mud, though, Tom. Coming over to the open side, they've been successful when they've hit those big around flicks as well. Unfortunately, that one too far out of the reach of Suzuki.
Nazarov's disc to Payne. She sets off down the line herself. Coming back to Awad El Karim. Fajardo. Fajardo with no mark whatsoever, just clogging the lane. McKeever. Poaching, and that's why they almost got the block. McKeever was there, the Mud player was nearby, almost getting the block. Happy to let the Fury players have it in the handler space, happy to let them swing across. Awad El Karim to Nazarov, now to Payne. Payne looks downfield, now trying to blast through, and Nazarov separating the defense like a knife with that laser disc. Real acceleration, and now she comes back to collect. Can she do the same again? Less space to work with on this occasion. Awad El Karim into the end zone. Payne's disc is floated beautifully into the path. And Fury's patience and skill pays off. Nice break. They lead this one by 3 now, 9-6.
Yeah, Fury were having a little bit of trouble finding the space until this shot from Anna Nazarov, where she splits the defense in half as well. I think that's what opened up that whole front of the end zone for them there, Tom, and an important offensive hold coming out of half for Fury. I'll correct myself on that. That was actually a break there for Fury. They did start off on defense. So, same thing, important break.
Important break.
Coming off of half.
Absolutely
Giving
right.
yourself a 3-point cushion, 9-6 now in this game. Fury is going to be quite happy with that. They're calling a timeout now, though. Maybe trying to adjust a little bit of some of that defense. They were having a hard time getting through the poachy junk defense of Mud until that break from Anna Nazarov.
It was Nazarov's disc really separating out, but you had to, I'm fascinated by the different ways that the Japanese teams defend. Poaching off the handlers, very, very tight once they got past those first 3 players. They were tight one-on-one defense, no space, but clogging the lanes, trying to work on the interceptions, and they got very close. Their disc to Claire McKeever in the middle of the field was the nearest opportunity Mud had to that poaching paying off and getting a turnover. But it's a great series of points from Fury, either side of the half, and holding their own offense before that as well. That's the difference between these two teams at the moment. They were tied at 6 each. Now Fury with the 3-point margin. You just get that sense of foreboding. Can they keep this roll going, Becky?
Yeah, I mean, I think they can, coming out of halftime with that kind of energy to cause an error from Mud, arguably one that I think could have also been scored. A matter of inches on the throw difference for Suzuki to run that one down, but Fury, you can't give them too many opportunities with the disc, otherwise they're gonna find ways to score almost every single time, Tom.
Well, Fury had the mistakes in the first half that they can now clean up. It's always difficult when you're losing a game and you're not making mistakes. The disc is being taken away from you, but Fury know where they needed to improve on that first half performance in order to tidy a few things up, be a stronger side in this second half. The sun disappears behind a cloud, the breeze picks up. Suzuki pivots, waits for the defender to move out of the way, throws the pass. Big bid from Lin. And the Fury defense forcing Mud backwards again, looking for any options, eventually finding one. Space on this near side to Furukawa. Shimada, what can she see this time? Deep shot downfield, gonna be pressure. Big bid, clattered into the back, but both players had misread it, flew safely into the grass beyond. Reed starts and initiating the Fury offense, a foul uncontested. Coming back in now. with a quick tap, a movement to Reed. Full width, 4 players involved. Now Sun has it. Finney awaits with the dump pass. Lynn on the far wing. Let's come back to Sun. Cutting forward was Fletcher, signaling that she didn't want the disc. Again, the full width of the field, exposing, pulling the mud defense from one side to the other. Finney again. Now a real incisive disc through the middle to Carrier. Carrier has it again. And there's that gap in the middle of the mud defense has been exploited time and again by Fury. They are not going to let this disc go easily. Finney to Reed. Reed down to Sun. Looks down the line. Decides against it. Just behind the fast running Chariot. Turnover and relief for Mudd. An injury called. Twisted her ankle as she was changing direction there, Becky?
Yeah, very possible. Just a little bit of a roll on the ankle. You see her limping off the field. Sometimes that's one where you have to take a moment to make sure you're really okay after a roll like that.
We may see her again. I hope that she recovers well and that Fury are all getting massages from their physio. And a lot of the top teams traveling with a medical team. Replaced by Claire McKeever. Pick up and a quick pass to Furukawa to Tamura. Happy to swing it at the moment. Now looking downfield, but the options are taken away. Fury defense. There's no free players downfield. They're having to run it again through the second and third options. Tamura, big fakes. Signals she wants somebody to clear out, looking for the spaces. Always amazes me, Becky, how close the dump option stays to the disc. Only cutting out on stall 6 or 7. There's perhaps a deep cut available there. It's now going to have to go deep in a second. No, it doesn't. First time we've seen Shimada off the field in a long time. Keep looking for the 77 shirt. No, I found her now. She is on the field.
I don't think she's taken a break once in this game,
no,
Tom.
She's played every point, hasn't she? He's just not been on the disc in this point. He's calling a stall out on the field. Game advisor maybe coming in to offer to break the language barrier. Now the game advisor coming in. The game advisor's not making active calls, here to provide advice, clarify rules, offer a perspective if they're asked to. The only call that they make of their own volition is the offside call, and that is just advisory as well. Discussion going on for some time here.
Took a while as well, I think, for the game advisors to get involved in this discussion, Tom. A long one for, usually at that point of a discussion, you're not going to change someone's mind either.
Furukawa brings it back in on a quick flick, needed to be as well. Stall was already high, Tamura has it. Now she flicks out, return pass, quick change of direction. getting herself free. Downfield to Shimada, sends it deep. The disc from Shimada, oh, required a big bid, but yet again, Shimada showing she is a genius with the disc. Big shot deep, Suzuki the receiver. Incredible play.
Yeah, it was a phenomenal play to watch. I think for me, my favorite part of that point is actually the number 13 shirt of Tamura for Mud. She's been directing traffic for Mud out there. You see her at the front of the stack pointing to her handler and telling them where to throw the disc. In this case, generates that upline throw to Shimura for that big huck and Suzuki running it down.
It's interesting, we've seen Shimada in the backfield handling role, not able to take very many deep shots. That's her first assist of the game, and by no means the first assist of the tournament. She's been throwing those sorts of discs into the zone, maybe moving her further upfield, leaving the handling duties, primary handling duties, to some of her teammates is a strategy they're going to employ. She is very, very deadly with disc in hand. It's been used as a distributor more than anything up until this point.
Yeah, and I like to see those hucks go up right in front of players like Suzuki. It makes it very hard for those Fury players to run down and use any of their size advantage over these Mud players to get the disc into space. And Suzuki coming up with that incredible layout D in the first half, and now a phenomenal layout grab for the score.
We did ask the coaches, are any players we need to look out for? And she did say, yeah, watch out for Suzuki in the 64 serve. Howard with the deep shot deep. Oh, it's so easy. 3 passes. Howard downfield to Rudin. And Fury, having made Mud work so hard for the last point, prove how easy it is for them in return. Flows downfield. Howard. No mistake. Rudin the target. Back in a moment.
Do you want to avoid overuse injuries? Cross-train. Get your exercise routine out of a routine and mix it up with a variety of activities. Your muscles, tendons, and joints will thank you later.
See Maggie Rudin taking some shade under the straw hat. A 29-year-old from Oceanside. Learned to play, has been playing for 11 years. Learned to play at Sonoma State University. One of the highlights of her, well, so many highlights to her career. Saw her win part of that silver medal winning team in France. USA coming up against a very determined Russia side back in Hwayon, my French. Shimada for Japan. And then we see the spread of the play as Fury come with their own zone. It's like the textbook has been opened out in front of you and you can see exactly what's going on. The Fulcrum Media Skycam offering a really unique perspective. As Furukawa has the disc out to the wing and change of defense very quickly. Opie Payne now marking one-on-one. Threatens the deep shot. Tamura get over that side of the field. Beautiful running, curves the cut, stop any bid from the 9 shirt of Austin. Furukawa has it still. Blast through to Tamura. Tamura fakes. Shimada has it. Great cut, Shimada continues down the line. Not going to find her there. Front of the end zone. clears out the way, one cut at a time into the end zone. Payne climbing all over the back, takes the hand and lifts the player off the floor. Determined effort, but nothing they could do. The position of every single pass, right where the defender can't reach it, Becky. It's so impressive to see the Japanese when they're executing their offense well.
Their accuracy is unparalleled to other teams that we've seen play, always directly into the hands of their receiver in this situation. And a bit of an aggressive play there from Payne, in my opinion, as well. I don't think there's any need to go over the back of the Japanese player like that, Tom.
She's going to make, there's no bid on that disc without a lot of contact. I think Opie recognized that and pulled the Japanese player up off the ground in apology.
Interesting as well to see there that Fury changed their force to backhand. They've been forcing flick throughout the entirety of this game so far, but starting to get punished with some of those flick hucks and those big flick arounds. So making that adjustment, it hasn't paid off for them here. Mud adjusting very quickly. They shifted their offense, and it goes to say how disciplined that system is to shift it so quickly to adjust to the new force.
I was the one cut which I did want to draw attention to halfway through that was Shibat. She had a Fury player on her back 1 meter away, but the way she curved her cut to make sure that there was no way the Fury player could get a bid on that disc. Just excellent skills. If you're new to the sport and you want to see how it's going to be done properly, then this Japanese team are showing, you know, without the physical and athletic advantages, how to play clever, smart offense. But right now, Rudin for Fury. Carolyn Finney down the line. Oh, they are so smooth. And again, we see the difference in the amount of time it takes the offense to score. Mudd working so hard, moving the disc downfield with 18 passes and taking about 3 minutes to do it. Fury have done it in less than 30 seconds and only taking 6 passes. It's a massive barrier that Mudd are going to have to run so hard and keep running so hard to stay with this team from San Francisco.
Yeah, and at this point, I think they're going to have to really work their defense as well. They're allowing themselves to get beat into the open side, especially on that point there. They're going to have to shut that down. Maybe take away those outs or take away key players out of this game. But, I mean, Fury is so deep. How do you even do that?
I look at the Fury line, and there's some highlights, but I don't think they have key players in the same way a lot of other squads do. When I hear the word key players, I'm thinking if you can remove those players from the game, then the rest of the team is beatable. I don't think that's the case with Fury. You can remove your key players and some more key players will pop up. You know, it's the depth that makes this team so hard to compete against. Their stats across the tournament, across this game, tell that story as well. It's the depth that, you know, other teams maybe rock up to a tournament like this with 5 or 6 players that are dominating the stats, and Fury just don't do that.
Yeah, and of course the winner of this game facing off against Brute Squad in the quarterfinals. Brute Squad took down Ellipsis earlier today, or in this round actually, Tom. That game's just already over. So a lot on the line and a big matchup next for whoever can come out on top in this game.
And Mudd reaching deep into the reserves of effort, skill, tenacity. They've the wrong end of a 3-point deficit. And a Fury team who have made mistakes but still look dominant. When a team aren't playing their best and still winning by 3 points, it's a big ask for any team to come up with an answer. Doing what they can. Tamura has it now in the backfield. Again, one-on-one defense from Fury. Hard running. Shimada making herself available. Back with Tamura. Opie Payne staying so close to Furukawa. Be interesting to see if Furukawa touches the disc at all in this point. Opie Payne, like a crab, stepping sideways and keeping very, very close. Shimada the target here. Oh, it's beautifully collected by Shiba. Back to Shimada, far side of the field. Oh, I thought she was going to spin that across to the far side. Instead, it's down the line it goes. Ogawa has continued the run. Mud, determination, paying off. Back within 2.
Yeah, and Ogawa, we haven't heard a lot from her so far in this game, Tom, but a very veteran player for such a young age. She's played on multiple national teams already, U23s in 2015, U24s in 2018. She was at WUGC in 2016, and then, of course, a member of the USA All-Star team in 2016 and the Asian Oceanic Tour this year. So a tremendous amount of experience for having such a young age as well, being only 23. Great to see her get on the scoreboard here today.
Ogawa Shiri with her second point of the game. And again, we see Shimada involved. Shimada Risi. A 24-year-old, a bright future. You think, how many more cycles through the World Championships has Shimada got in her? She's going to be a big player on the world stage for a number of years to come. Snyder for Fury. Talking about big players in the world stage, there's none bigger than Snyder. Howard in that pool as well, but Howard's disc is bad, and a contact made, that's why it was bad. Foul called. Too low, touches the grass. Uncontested foul call. That's Howard's view downfield. Out to Kayla. Defender tripping in the zone. Snyder. Out to the wing. Clancy. Clancy back to Romano. On the edge, Kayla looking for an option across the field. Full stretch. Katie Ryan, no mistake, one hand down and grabs for another. Fury, clean offensive hold. Both sides, we've had clean offensive hold for the last 5 points.
Yeah, and we've seen Katie Ryan really have a phenomenal showing today. She's got 4 goals already, Tom. And we're not used to seeing that with the likes of Fury. They're usually relying on multiple players across the board. But the cuts by Ryan are absolutely, I mean, Mudd is having an incredibly hard time defending her.
Fury, 3 points up. And 3 points to go to secure their place in the quarter-final against Brute Squad. Mudd beat Mantis to get into this round of 16 game. They'd be pleased with their performance here against one of the world's top teams, if not the world's top team. They've thrown everything they've had at Fury, and Fury have had an answer.
On the ball for Fury.
Payne with the pull downfield. Mudd with it. Payne comes to cover. Tamura. Fast cutting Furukawa. Takura again. Shimada still there, still running. Finney on the chase. Shimada finds movement downfield to this near side. Takura. Nice crossfield cut from Takura. containing the Japanese at the moment. Not moved away from their own end zone line yet. Every pass amongst the handlers, the same pattern of cuts, the same pattern of defense, hard one-on-one. Stall count rising on every pass. Now we're starting to see some movement. Shimada looked for the deep option. It's a high floating disc. It can't do that when there's Alden Fletcher lurking. Knocks that disc to the ground. Finney's disc back across the field. Helton goes to the knees. Reed. Reed back to Finney. Finney looking back to Reed. Mudd looking tired now. The disc is over the fingertips of Payne. Pressure and a block from Mudd. Fury with a mistake of their own, caught in this wind, Becky.
Yeah, we're not used to seeing them have mistakes like that in general, but throwing it up a little too high, and this time it's the Mudd players coming down with it. A good opportunity for them here. They need to keep this hold if they want to stay involved in this game.
Furukawa. Takura floating downfield to Suzuki. Suzuki signaling, wanting that disc back to Takura. She continues her cut across field, floats into space. Pressure from Reed, doesn't generate a turn, but pressure from the fast cutting layout bid of Marissa Mead does generate a turn. Finney waits. Payne in the center of the field. Lynn. I think it was Lynn that got the block, actually. My bad misreading her number. And now into the end zone. Alden Fletcher with the score for Fury. The body language around the Mudd team has just shifted. Maybe this is too far beyond them now. They trail by 4. Fury in the driving seat as they approach closing this game out and taking their place in the quarterfinal.
Yeah, Fury in the driver's seat now, and they weren't going to be happy with just having had that one break out of half. Good to get a second one here. They know they're in control of this, leading 13-9. Mudd is definitely looking a little bit defeated at this point, and Tom, I'm not sure how they climb back into this one at this point.
I don't know either. I think you're going to have to rely on Fury making some errors. I think the Mudd defense has, on occasions, caused a few problems for Fury, but the way that Mudd have stayed in this game so far has been capitalizing on Fury's errors. And once the errors dry up, they don't have an answer. That fast-flowing offense and the patience that Fury have shown when they've had the disc, the determination to score, the constant running and the resets that they've provided to their teammates. That's been the mark of the second half as we go into a timeout. You see that bouncing across the team. A song breaks out. The team from San Francisco are within 2 of a place in the quarterfinals, the WFDF 2018 World Ultimate Club Championships. Finney to Payne. This movement across the field to Lynn. You've got that big block. And Finney with the provide into the end zone. Back with more from the last 16 round in a moment.
Heat illness strikes kids and adults alike during summer workouts. Watch for muscle cramps, fever, nausea, headache, weakness, or feeling faint. Act fast to get cool and get fluids.
Cincinnati, Ohio, and we're back on the Lebanon Sports Complex. Myself, Tom Stiles, alongside Ultimate Canada Communications Director Becky Thompson. And it's been our pleasure to bring this round of 16 game from the women's division, Fury Mudd. And Mudd, the team in blue, have the disc in hand once more, receiving the pull and setting up their offense. This cross-field stack, that little button cut, so typical of Japanese ultimate. Nazarov on the mark. Furukawa. Straight up force from Fury. Nazarov again closing down. Furukawa just stopping the hook. Nazarov stepping off. Now she steps in. Float across into space. Big bid coming. Read and collected well by Shimada, superstar from the Japanese team. She throws a perfect pass into Furukawa, who's maybe thinking about the continuation pass afterwards. Nazarov for Fury, sends the deep disc downfield. Liu underneath it, but it floats, catches the wrong edge on the wind, blows into the turf.
Yeah, Megan Liu there just lost where the disc was, looked over the right shoulder instead of the left, and the disc sailed off too far to the left of her.
No hesitation from Nazarov, trusting the receiver. Finest of margins. If you set off down the center of the field and then adjust your cut to one edge and then suddenly discover the disc is going to the other side of the field, there's no way back in that situation. Tamura. Furukawa. Signals to spread the play out. One cut at a time is the Mudd way. Japanese-style offense. This float into space. Looking for the big throw. Shiba has had some strong moments, but that wasn't one of them. Movement from Fury is good. Pressure closing in on that disc. Credit to the Japanese player for pulling out that a really dangerous potential collision, but she pulled out of it just in time. Nazarov finds the space on the other side of the field, puts it away. Awad Karim scores the point. Again, this quick movement across the field, textbook dump and swing from Fury. They're within one of their place in the quarterfinal.
Yeah, and Fury have had to earn their turnovers on that point. A couple miscommunications from the Japanese women. There was a drop, but they got it back, and then a huge hand block there from Fury to earn that disc back, and they made light work of it after that. 14-9, Tom. I mean, Fury, they've been wonderful to watch in the second half.
Such a strong performance from the San Franciscan team. It was a great play from the Japanese. Just as you saw the run in, could have bid at the disc, realized that the American player had position, pulled out to avoid the contact, avoid the collision. And both players, nothing more than grass burns for their trouble. Snyder. Still raising the voice, still raising the roof, and the team in white within one. They have a 5-point margin. It's been a close run thing, but breaks either side of the half and a run of 3 points in the last three have been the difference. Rudin with 2 scores to her name. but the spread of the stats across the Fury line is one of the things that really attracts the attention. Cree Howard with 2 assists and 2 scores herself, a veteran of this Fury team, 31-year-old software design and product design specialist. She was also involved in one of the most videoed and replayed and socially shared moments from the World Beach Ultimate Championships, the World Championships of Beach Ultimate in Royan, in France, and she won't thank me for saying this at all. But as the disc came in for the very final point on Universe Point in her game, USA women versus the Russian women, Cree Howard cut off the back of the stack, didn't make contact with the disc, but did a header, which was then caught by the Russian receiver diving in the sand for an amazing end, uncharacteristic end to an amazing game. One of the highlights. She was part of it. She'd probably like to forget that. But that was Cree Howard, and here we're seeing her at her very best, contributing in a major way to this Fury victory against Mud. I say victory, the game's not over yet. Suzuki has it for Mud now. Shimada looking for that deep shot, sends it. Who's underneath it? It's Ogawa again, goes to the grass. That has been the play that they've been loving to see, and a play that they've been able to do against every other team. They've not quite found it as often as they would have wanted to this game. Ogawa with a 3rd point of the game.
Yeah, Mud really enjoying using those little inside breaks. You see the little backhand one there, opening up that flick into space for Ogawa, and no chance for the Fury player to run that one down. But unfortunately, at this point, we're at 14-10 here for Fury, and Mud, to climb back in, they haven't had a break yet in this second half, Tom. They're going to have to find a way to break down the absolute accuracy and efficiency of this Fury offense.
I feel like I owe Cree Howard a bit more of a positive review rather than just drawing attention to a one mistake I've ever seen recorded. She was USA World Games a member of the team in 2009 and 2013, and part of the World Championship side in 2008 and 2012, and WUCC women's team in 2015 and 2017. Cites her sporting heroes being her buddy, Betty Kay, or Beth Kaler, who's also from this team. Snyder with the disc now. Fury coming out with our final point of the game. If they can close this one out. Howard moves the disc downfield to Rudin. Rudin to Snyder. Snyder, backhand float forward to Chang. Snyder again available, always available. Chang once more. Snyder once more. Movement to Johnson, to Howard, into the end zone, miscommunication. The eye contact was there, the movement was not. Howard thought the cut was going to go through to the space. I think it was Cooper who didn't make the movement that Howard was expecting. Disc goes to ground.
Yeah, and on that one, I mean, you see the way the Mud players celebrate like they've won the point there. They know that that's opened up an important door. They're really going to have to grind this to get it upfield, though.
Got to work the full 64 meters from end zone to end zone. Big disc going up here. Oh, if they come down with it, my goodness, they have. Ogawa claiming the grab. And so is Katie Ryan. And eventually, Ryan claims it. Ogawa declines. And straight away, the disc into the turf. A violation called. Oh, this is going to be interesting. The violation, did that affect the throw? Doesn't matter, it's coming back. Ryan has it once more. Downfield movement. Snyder. Cross to Chang. Chang to Howard. Rises, confident grab, 2 hands. Into the end zone, and there you have it. Maggie Rudin finishing off a dominant performance. They win by 5. Finishing with a strong offensive point despite the turnover. They get it back. The Japanese deep game completely taken apart by Fury defensive dominance in the air. And Rudin pulls the disc out of the sky with one hand. Emphatic victory from the San Franciscan team. Fury USA go into the quarterfinal with a matchup with Brute Squad.
Yeah, an incredible matchup we're going to be seeing there in the quarterfinals. A USA showdown. Fury putting a mark and putting a stamp on this tournament with this victory. A close first half. They looked a little bit shaky and a little bit lucky to come down with some of those points, but an emphatic second half here from Fury.
And you've got to talk about this Mud team, the way they've brought themselves into this game. They held Fury, and for the first 6 points, it was very difficult to see how you're going to separate these two teams. Shimada, the highlight reel for me, her play, her distribution of the disc around the field, her imagination. And then the other thing I'd like to draw attention to is the way the Mud system has worked. Really tight. They said before the game, we want to play Japanese ultimate, and that's short passes and it's quick acceleration, it's changes of direction, and that's exactly what they did. And for a good 12 points of the game, it was working, and they were neck and neck with Fury. But the dominance in the end from the North American side was too much for them to live with. Long discs, big bids, flying players from both sides, amazing blocks. And Fury advances to the quarterfinals of the 2018 World Ultimate Club Championships. From myself, Tom Stiles, and Becky Thompson, and all of our production partners at Fulcrum Media, I'd like to thank you for joining us for this publish. Do stay with us all week here from Cincinnati.
Catch it early. Help us teach kids about cancer symptoms through Ultimate Frisbee clinics. Join us and speak up.